Anxious to step through the gate again, Major?
Yes, I am.
We all are.
Would you like us to bring back anything special?
No thanks.
Groceries, new outfit, flatware?
No, just yourselves in one piece, please. Dial it up. You safe.
Welcome to the Jumping Puddles podcast. Be sure to listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and or YouTube. And follow us at Jumping Puddles Podcast on Tumblr and Instagram, and Jumping Bud Pod on Twitter. And if you want to support our podcast, please check out our coffee. I'm Sam. With me are my fellow co-hosts, Tor and Ash.
Hey.
Hi.
And today we are discussing Season 3, Episode 19, Vengeance. The Atlantis team investigates the disappearance of one of their allies, only to find an old enemy engineering a new race that will change the Pegasus Galaxy forever.
Dun.
Dun dun dun.
So bad. We tried. Yay! More horror! We're
We
so
love it.
glad.
Yeah.
My,
Oh my God.
favorite genre of Stargate Atlantis episode.
Yeah, I'm not usually one that goes for horror unless it's Stargate, I feel like. Like, the Stargate horror is like horror I like.
It's
Yeah.
strange because they achieve the perfect balance of horror where it's off-putting and the aesthetic is there, but they still maintain the Stargate humor without
Mhm.
sort of taking away from any of the horror elements.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's something I definitely want to give credit to this season for. I feel like this season, you know, more than any other season before, and the seasons that will come after, I feel like this season perfectly balances tone in a way that feels like very natural with like the Stargate sort of like brand, but also infusing something different and being able to be a little more adult and like with adult themes and like again have that horror element thrust in. Damn, it's like where do we even start? Ash, do you have a starting point?
No, not really. It's just, I think, just adding to what we're just saying, I think this, like Tor said, this feels like a really, just a classic Stargate episode.
Mm-hmm.
They're off-world, and they're encountering a weird, like, alien, which turns out it's an, goes back to an alien that they already know, Michael. Fun seeing someone again that we already know. So I think this is just a really, like, a classic. Like, if someone asked me, like, what is Stargate about? Or, like, what does Stargate Atlantis feel like? This could be an episode to show that them. Because it, like, encompasses all that. We even have, like, I think the Canadian woods to, like, set us up. So it kind of has everything, and I really enjoyed that. And I think it was a great way to kind of round off the season before we like go into the finale and then the next season.
Yeah, everything including immaculate Core 4 vibes. I think the Atlantis team in this episode is just firing on all cylinders and like the perfect distillation of each of their characters in what is an excellently action-y, fun episode.
Yeah, the dialogue, full credit, to Carl Binder, who wrote this episode. I think the dialogue in this episode is like top tier. Again, really just balances tone and also stays like very like within character. And again, there's so many like little moments that I feel like if you're watching maybe not as like intensely as we are, you might like pass over them because I definitely skipped over them before. But I feel like there were so many like little moments I wrote down that had me like cracking up where I was like, oh my god, it's just like the actors or just like this, the writing or the score, just whatever, just coming together to elevate the episode just a little bit higher. And yeah, everything just worked so well. We are glazing the fuck out of this episode. But I guess we should pick a point. Let's actually dive in. Uh, Ooh, I don't even know. I'm like, do we just jump into the deep end? Do we go with Michael?
I mean, I just want to really quickly, which then can lead into Michael, just really quickly mention that the throwbacks of like the previously on Stargate Atlantis was kind of insane because it brought back there was like a clip of Ford. I was like, oh my god, Ford, baby. And also Elia, and I think it, like, if you watch the show or like maybe binge watch it, you don't really need it to like know what the show is about, but it already sets the tone, and we're like, okay, this might be creepy, this might, and it will involve something buggy. And I thought that was really cool to already set the tone, and I was glad to like get these glimpses again of like past characters, which kind of then set up the character that we're meeting again here.
Yeah, the previously ons were like very spot on. They definitely
Right?
like caught you up with everything you needed to know right before the episode. But yeah, Michael is back. Our number one frenemy.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I stand on him, honestly. It's but I was kind of happy to see them, and I gotta say, he's rocking that coat.
Yeah, seeing
His
him
design.
just run down the hallway with it waving behind him with all the smoke and all that was great.
And with the shoulder pads, kinda, I don't know, it's giving.
The little spiky hair is like
Yeah.
white. Sprayed on gray hair. Yeah, how do we feel about Michael? I think this is the episode where if you say, you know, you dislike Michael, I get why now. I think for sure this is kind of like the turning point. I think the other episodes, I would argue there's very little reason to dislike Michael. But I think with this episode, you can kind of disregard the morally gray aspect of his character maybe, as he's kind of just going full villain, which I don't know how I feel about, but it's a thing that happens.
Absolutely. But also on the other side, I feel like this is also the episode that if this is the one where like, okay, I like him because it's a villain, I also get it. Because like he's really committed now to being the villain now, and like creating this super evil hybrid army. If that's like your thing, I totally get it. Like he's a good villain, I feel like. And he has the whole thing. He has an origin story, which he never lets the Atlantis team forget that they were the ones who initially fucked around. And now they're about to find out. So I appreciate that, and I respect him for that, and I think it's good that he keeps bringing that up. Yeah, but what I found a little bit off-putting is that he, because they're talking about him, oh, is he trying to create a super wraith or something? But it's more like, are they sentient? And is he treating them like sentient beings, or more like, because it feels a little bit like, or it felt a little bit like he was treating them like animals or like guard dogs.
Yeah.
That felt a little bit weird to me, but he can't control them. So there's like, it's like strange, but I was wondering about that.
It's like two war crimes don't make a right in the sense where
Yeah.
he's also doing kind of villainous, unethical, scientific things in retaliation for what the Atlantis team did, which was also really messed up. It's really funny.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, the murder, maybe, yeah, like the mass murder,
Mass murder,
probably
yeah.
not a good way to convince people to be on your side. I get it though. He's in the wrong for that. However, I do feel like his justification is really funny because the fact that he like never lets the Atlantis team forget. He's like, I'm doing what you guys taught me, and it's like, well, they're kind of gagged because what can you really say to that? He is doing what you guys taught him, and you guys did it to him twice. You guys didn't learn your lesson. You guys like left him for dead on a fucking planet and killed how many other wraith? Like it's bad. So it's I understand. I think my thing though with Michael is less of like the murder. No offense. It's more with like the teyla. It's yeah. So I have again conflicted feelings where I really enjoy the Michael and Taylor dynamic. I think it's really interesting. However, I do think it reaches a point where it kind of gets like uncomfortable, or I don't know. I think especially like when she's pregnant, it gets like really bad. Um and I wrote down that Michael hyperfixating on Taylor kind of seems like the show is trying to punish her for having that compassion originally.
Oh.
And maybe I'm reaching. Maybe I am fucking reaching. Oh, on one hand, it makes no sense that Michael would choose Teyla as his like point of anger, because you'd think it'd be like John. Everyone's at blame but Teyla, basically. But on the flip side, I enjoy, in a sense, that his only friend, like he considers like that like the ultimate betrayal, and he is going so hard after her. But again, I think a lot of it is just kind of impacted by what happens later and when she's pregnant, that it gets to like a really uncomfortable level where like, okay, I'm not really vibing with this anymore. And in this episode, I don't really understand what his reasoning is for like dumping this bug on her. I don't know. I'm just a little confused, but let me hear you guys' thoughts. I want to hear what you guys have to say.
I thought that he was trying to use the team, like everyone, and also the Marines, to create more of these creatures. And that's why he sent the bug onto her, and maybe like because like she wronged him or something, or betrayed him. That's why he like wanted to watch up close. That's why he tied her down. Which like I already got uncomfortable in watching this episode, to be honest. Like with their dynamic, I was like, this is I'm not feeling that. Also, with the bug crawling up her body, it had like really parallel vibes to Sheree in the first SG1 episode, where like with the Gould, I was like, damn, was that intentional? Because it's really, really close. But it also had like a weird, like, I don't know, weird sexual undertone, I felt like. I was like, this is really strange. Or I felt like the way that they positioned Teyla and framed her was kind of sexualizing her body, which I think that was what I was uncomfortable with, maybe, mostly. But yeah, so I think that was the reason why Michael was going after her, that she was just like, maybe by accident, the first one, because he was just like using her to work on his army.
Yeah, I guess it could be multiple reasons that he chose her in particular. Maybe it hurt worse that she was complicit in what they were doing, even though she like didn't agree with it and was kind of railing against it the whole time, because she was the one person on Atlantis who was treating him like a person. Maybe it has to do with the fact that they are both sort of other, in the sense that he no longer has a place in either human society or a race society, because he is this amalgamation of both, where Teyla also has, not to the same extent, but a bit of other about her as well, because of her connection to the Wraith in terms of her telepathy. So there's that as well. Maybe he thinks that she's the one most likely to give him some sort of sympathy or reaction in these conversations compared to anybody else in the team, especially John, because they don't really care. She's the only one, even in her conversation with Rodney, that seems to be still have empathy for Michael, even though he did what he did to her twice.
He was so crazy for that. Like, because that really confused me to the fact that even though she was like tied down and he left her with like a bug crawling up her body to like kill her, she was like low-key defending him against Rodney and saying like, well, he could have had a family and like, you know, we don't know what his life was like before we ruined him. For her to like say that after the murders was so strange. And that's why I'm just a little confused. I'm making this so complicated. It does not have to be that complicated. But I'm just deep in my mind. But I just think it's so interesting, and I do wish they had explored it more. Because, I do think they're really interesting.
Yeah, I think it was even interesting that Teyla took it further in the conversation with Rodney, where she was sympathizing with Michael, but she was also trying to get Rodney to try to connect with him on a level as well. And that was really interesting. She was trying to compare Michael to him, being like, oh, you both could possibly be like the best scientists of your people. And while that was like a sweet comment about Rodney, it was also like an underhanded way for her to get him to sort of see him as human, see him as somebody who like is not just a monster. And I thought that was really interesting.
It's so weird because, like, to his face, she's like, "You're a monster. I'm not gonna," saying all this stuff like, "I'm not gonna trust you. We're nothing," or whatever the hell. And then behind his back, and the second after she's rescued, he's like, yeah, she's trying to get Rodney on her side and be like, almost not justifying, but understanding him in a way that didn't seem like she was a few scenes ago.
She was clear about condemning his actions. She did say,
Mm-hmm.
we need to take care of him now. But I think like Ronan, when he was having that conversation with John in the hallway, she was trying to say like, look, I was right. And we fucked up first. And none of this would have happened if we didn't hit the first domino and cause the cascade. And on the other side of that, maybe her conversation, each time she has a conversation with Michael one-on-one, he kind of reinforces that, or maybe lays seeds of doubt in her mind, and then she kind of rethinks things or thinks about it more deeply, or just their conversations make her see how human or how alike he is to her own team or her own people, which causes her to react that way. I don't know.
No, I think that makes sense. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think especially given like how her character is framed as having like sort of this like endless empathy and like compassion, I could totally see her disagreeing with what the Atlantis team did to him despite everything, and still maybe like even taking some of that blame and some of that guilt onto herself and being like, if I had stood up more, if I had like spoken up, or if this happened, maybe he wouldn't have gone down this path. It's just, they are so interesting to me. We do not have to dissect this any further, but
no, I just think that is her character. I
Mm-hmm.
think I really like that term of like endless compassion, or I don't know, endless empathy or something that she has for other beings. Yeah, I think it goes back to that.
She's better than me, girl. If the guy I was like kind of friends with kidnapped me and then like almost ate me and then like tied me down and like set a bug loose on me, I would be slamming. I would not be defending him. But again, Teyla, so kind, so true, queen.
Yeah.
Teyla is trapped in a psychological horror, and the boys are going through like Looney Tunes-esque escapades. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Accurate.
I feel like her and Elizabeth are the ones who are carrying the guilt for the whole expedition.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting.
As
no one else like feels
women
anything
as well.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
an extra layer of
I feel like, unfortunately, that's the reason why. Because I don't think, sorry to divert the conversation, but I don't think if a man had been leader of Atlantis at this point, we would have gotten the scene in the end of them, of Elizabeth being like, we did this. We are the reason why all those people died, why Michael is doing this, is torturing people, changing people, killing people. And her being like guilt-ridden like that, and in a similar vein, Teyla, like throughout the episode, being like, no, I see where he's coming from, we kind of did this for him. I think that is definitely like putting the emotional burden on the women.
Is it sexist a little?
I think it's
Or does it make sense with the characters? Maybe a little bit of both.
I think a little bit of those, and I think a little bit of both, and I think in the
Both can be
context
true.
of the show, and when the show was written, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like thinking of like the bigger picture, like general like misogyny and like society and stuff, it is like an issue, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, yeah, it's nice to get a lot of conversations centered on their mistakes. They'll bring it up, and I'm never satisfied, actually. I'm always like, yeah, go further. Like, still beat yourself up about it. Like, I think you guys need to be, like, endlessly, like, cut up over this. Like, you guys should be suffering because of how many people are dying because of your shitty-ass idea. And that's why it kind of frustrates me, though, that, like, the boys aren't as like cut up over it, because they should be devastated. They're not, they're chilling, but they should be. But it was nice to see that be a part of the episode, and to have like Ronan and John be so uh, vocal with sort of that discussion, and Ronan being like, well, we have to kill him now, this is our fault, and like, I should have stepped up, I should have said it more, I should have disagreed from the beginning. And John's still trying to like bring him in for questioning, and it's like it's gone like too far at this point.
This is where I love the episode, and the way that what we said in the beginning, that everyone is so in character and they all have like bring their own issues, and they all have issues with the Michael situation, but they all go about it in a different way. Like Teyla with like the guilt and being like still like sympathizing with him, and on the other hand, Ronan being like, okay, I said from the beginning this was a bad idea and it's still a bad idea and we need to end this now, and being like going like the completely opposite way. I thought it was so interesting, and also I feel like this is some of the most dialogue that Jason Momoa ever got on the show, because he's talking for like I feel like a good 15 seconds in a row. We don't have that a lot, and it is so weird, but it's gotten to a point where I'm like surprised to hear his voice, and apart from like grunting. So I was really, really happy to have that conversation with him, between him and John, and him being like, no, we have to stop this, and him being so frustrated with John for him not allowing him to kill Michael, going, no, put it on stun, which happened like several times in the episode. We're like, no, this needs to end now. So I thought that was really, I really, really liked that scene a lot.
And he was cooking John. I was like, get his ass, get his ass. Like, he had a point.
Yeah.
The retrovirus was a stupid idea. Not, they didn't do it once. They did it twice.
Yeah.
Like, what did you think was going to change?
If I had a nickel.
No, seriously. Yeah, and I'm actually kind of sad we didn't get, like, more of, like, I know this was still technically, like, a Michael episode, kind of, but I do feel like the bug took like a lot of time, and I wish we could have gotten even more of like Michael and like his dilemmas and just different relationships with the team, because I feel like he has such a unique dynamic with everyone. And obviously I'm happy that we even just got, Tayla's actually involved in this episode, which is great, even though it's like her being tortured, but like I'm happy she's there. And she has like speaking roles and all this stuff. But yeah, I always want more Michael, because I think it's so interesting, and I think it brings a lot of the characters' like flaws to the surface. And I like when characters have flaws.
Definitely. I was so surprised because I knew Michael would show up in this episode, but I was surprised by how late he actually showed up. It's like the episode is a little bit divided into two parts. The first one is like the horror with the weird alien, and they don't know what is going on, and with the horror as well. Quick side note on that. I really liked how they never fully or rarely fully show the creature, and they only showed like really quick cuts or really just very partial images of it. So it really kept like the horror level high because we never really saw, okay, what is this thing? Is it human? Is it bug? What are the, like, we never see a full image of them. Even if we do, it's kind of like shrouded in like mist or something. And I really, really enjoyed that. But I'm also sad because I would have liked to see like the whole costume or like prosthetics, whatever they use, because I thought I want to appreciate that, okay? So that was the first part, and then I think Michael, he only came in at like, I felt like mid like 25 or something, so really late, and I had forgotten about that. I thought he played a much bigger role. I guess he was kind of like just not actively even earlier, but like that he was actually there was such a short part. And once again, I was wondering if this could have been a two-parter, where the first part is just them fighting the creature and trying to figure out what is going on. Then as the big cliffhanger is the reveal of Michael being like the mastermind behind all that.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And again, I just want to highlight Connor Trenier, I believe that's his name, the Michael actor, because I think, I mean, just and the word of the today is endless, because just about just endless amount of praise on him. He is such a fantastic actor, and he does this role so well. And I think whatever feelings you have about Michael, I think there's a reason why we have so much like discussion on him and like why he's just so nuanced, and a lot of that is just due to the performance. And like there are times where he seems so human, and then there are times where he seems so alien, and it's such a great job. And yeah, so it makes me so happy to see him pop up, because I know every time we have such good discussions and there's just like so much to talk about, and I'm just sad he was not utilized more.
Yeah, absolutely. I was watching the episode and like I was looking at his face and being like, okay, I like how they have like the subtle wraith makeup, and obviously it helps enhance his character and his performance, but also I keep thinking this guy was in Star Trek Enterprise. And it's like, I know he's an actor, and obviously, like, acting is, like, he's acting, so there are different roles, but I don't see anything of his character in Star Trek Enterprise in his role, and that is really credit to the actor.
For sure. And even rewatching this episode, like, I know deep inside what happens, but I was still, with that confrontation with John in the hallway, I was like, wow, is he really willing to die and take that chance? Like, of course he's not. But I did consider it for a second there, because he's just that good. Like, you just don't know what Michael's gonna do next. And it's just so fun and interesting, even when you do know what he's gonna do next.
Hot take? I don't know. Actually, it could not be a hot take, but I was going to say Michael over Todd any day.
Yeah. I think Michael is more interesting. Todd might be more like whimsical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the characters are very different.
Yeah.
Like Todd with a little bit more humor, and Michael with a lot more tragedy. But I'll have to observe. I think wait.
Yeah.
I need to suspend my judgment. on that for a little longer.
No, that's so fair. I just think what kind of bumps him over the edge is just his dynamics with the team.
Yeah.
Again, and in a way that's so fun. Him and Rodney are so awkward with each other. Like, it just cracks me up. And then you get, like, him and Teyla's, like, weird, we were friends, now we're enemies, but, like, we kind of are friends. And then Ronan just fucking hates him. And
Yeah.
then
He did from
And
the
then
jump.
John,
John's weird with him. They're weird.
that was a weird vibe in the corridor. Like, please tell me. I'm going crazy.
Ash has been injected with the yaoi serum. We injected her with the yaoi serum, and it finally worked, guys.
It was so. It gave like exes meeting somehow. I feel like it was a weird dynamic, and they had like, and then with the like pointing the guns, and then Michael lowering his and John keeping his pointed, and was like, is he gonna lean in? This is kind of like, what is going on here?
It's like
Sexy.
Batman and Joker levels of like weird tension where yeah, it's just strange. And I feel like even him like telling, I know like strategically he was telling Ronan like, oh, set your gun to stun, like we need to question him or whatever. Like, do you really want to kill him? I feel like you are hesitating a little bit.
No, literally. Do you think John would have killed him? I don't think he would. He
No.
Which is
he
crazy.
was bluffing.
Which is crazy for John, who, like, did not hesitate to kill Kolya. He was like,
John is always
why?
down for murder.
Yeah.
Especially, you would think, right? Again, not to bring this up again. I love beating a dead horse. But look at Michael just did to Teyla like 10 minutes ago. Like, you'd think he'd be like, murderous rage. And instead it's Ronan. Ronan's like, I'm literally going to kill this man.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? Like, that's so fair. He hurt your friend. Or if you want to look at it, he hurt your lover. Whatever way you want to look at it. But, like, he is very, like, justifiably angry. Look at John. John is so calm, cool as a cucumber, does not really, he would not think anything had just happened to one of his teammates. When, I know John in any other situation, if that happened to, again, his team in like another planet or whatever, he would have lost his shit. He would have just been kill, murder, get rid of target. Like, weird.
Yeah, interesting.
Weird.
I know he does not carry guilt about, like, the whole situation.
Yeah.
So it's not about that.
No.
Plus with the whole, like, Michael saved his life the last time.
True.
Weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they're weirdos.
What I'm saying.
Yeah.
And he was getting really weird about, like, wraith reproduction earlier on in the episode. Where he's
Oh
talking
my
about,
God.
like,
What is his problem? He wants to try it out so bad. He's so irritating.
For real.
That scene had me cracking up where he was like, I do not want to see that film. No one asked.
he
No one
doth
asked if you wanted to
he
see
doth
wraith
protest
porn.
too much.
But that is also something that I really enjoyed about this episode, that it kind of gave us, like, weirdly, like, kind of expanded on the universe a little bit with that. For example, like, that we don't really know how wraith reproduce. Do they lay eggs or whatever? That it's like, it's something that we don't know. And I think that's really fascinating. But also earlier, when they find out, or when they hear that there's like an underground tunnel system, and then Teyla says, oh yeah, actually a lot of people do that, not just the Janai. And I was like, that is really interesting, because like the people of Pegasus try to avoid the Wraith. That's why they build more structures on the ground. I was like, there's like a tiny like tidbit of like universe expansion that I really enjoy. I was like, oh, right, that is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, and actually I just want to bring this up too, because you kind of just brought another aspect of it with the whole like Teyla being the one to kind of like, you know, like, oh, you know, different people or different civilizations like build underground. I also love that Teyla was almost like an ambassador to Atlantis when she kind of says that she's been the one to kind of like come here frequently and like help them rebuild. And she's been the one to kind of like maintain that relationship, and the fact that she's like, oh yeah, I know where this leads, or yeah, I know how to go like underground and all this stuff. I just loved getting that little bit of information because I actually think she should have been like an official ambassador to Atlantis, because I mean she already does it, I feel like, out of her own. She just takes that time out of her day to do that. But I think it just really fits with her character to kind of be the one to be in the middle and bridge the gap between the humans or the Earth people and then the Pegasus Galaxy natives. So it's fun seeing that sort of like fanon almost kind of be, come directly from the canon.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I thought it was fun that they brought the Tyrannans back, like only briefly because they're all dead now. But I thought it was cool that they mentioned them, and I mean, obviously, it would have been nice to also see it a little bit, or like have it mentioned at a different point in the show. That they like just be like, "Oh, Teyla is not here because like she's helping out with the Tyrannans right now," or something. Or that she just came back from them. But still, it was nice to have like this piece of information that they do keep in touch with other planets.
Yeah, they're actually using some of that power and ability to connect and help people in the Pegasus Galaxy, which I think should be their goal, especially now that they are the reason that so many people are in jeopardy in that galaxy, and not fuck off back to Earth in their spaceship. But anyways.
Yeah, they needed this PR. Clear the searches. Atlantis team good. Atlantis team kind. Atlantis team good Samaritans, good neighbors. I know we kind of briefly talked about this, but I just want to go back to Ronan, because I think Ronan, oh, I loved him this episode. I mean, again, not only was he like actually speaking and he was like in character and he made some very good points, but I also feel like he kind of was doing a lot of the like humor in a interesting way. I do feel like the comedic aspect to his character is kind of really underrated. Especially because I feel like a lot of it is sort of like just Jason kind of like improvising. But again, I really loved everything about his character, and that intro scene specifically was so endearing. I think it's so cute that Rodney went up to Ronan. And I wonder though, do you guys think it was Rodney going up to Ronan, or was it Ronan dragging Rodney from his lab and being like, you need to learn?
I need to perpetuate my protective Ronan fanon, and so I will say that it was Ronan who suggested it. And I think it worked out quite well on this episode. Because was that Rodney shooting at the end there? I think it was. Good job.
There were a few times when he was using his gun, and I was like, oh my god. Scary, but yay for you.
I don't know, I feel like the way that Rodney was dressed, being like in full training outfit plus the like protective gear, I feel like it could have also been like his idea to be like, okay, I need to be strong now. I need to learn how to fight. Let me just get in the right outfit and let's do this. So I feel like, but also like I see the protective Ronan could have gone both ways. But also, I think it's maybe the first shot of the episode after the previously on, where it's Ronan talking into the camera. And tell me why, to me it seemed like he was talking to a pet, like to his dog or something. It's like, okay, you got this, you have to be like this. And I was like, because maybe it was the camera angle or something, but I was like, this is giving, like, I know he's talking to Ronnie, but still, it's giving something like, I feel like he's talking to a pet. I don't know what's going on with me today. I have some weird notions.
The Yowie injection is working.
It is. Yeah, but it also just, it cracked me up that because he was like going on like, okay, don't take your eyes off me. Like you have to like keep watching at me, keep looking at me. And then Rodney does it for the longest time, and the second he breaks context, Ronan just goes like full on. He just full on hits him, and that was hilarious. And also like him doing like the eye, like I'm watching you thingy with his hands. I think there was a lot going on there. It was all great.
I thought it was so cute. Him asking him if he was all right, if he didn't,
Yeah.
if he hit him too hard, encouraging him even though he sucked. It's really sweet. Just so, I love them so much.
So much. There's another really funny scene of the team when they go back to the gate and they're like, they find out the DHD is disabled and another crystal's been taken. And Rodney and Teyla are trying to like advocate for just like staying up on the surface and like, you know, waiting for Atlantis, or also like trying to find the Marines. And then John is sort of the deciding figure and he's like, no, we're going back down. Like we're gonna go kill this thing or whatever. And Ronan's giant ass smile behind John cracks me up. He is so happy. He like literally his smile grows when John's like, no, we're going back down there. He's like, and he's looking at like Teyla and Rodney and he's almost like gloating, like, haha, like my plan won. It was cracking me up. He is so excited to murder. The other scene, which is so fucking funny, is when John and Rodney and Ronan are trying to like break into that door, and Ronan just goes stand back and then immediately shoots it, and John and Rodney like flinch and they're like, give us a warning next time, like you need to like give us some time. Crying. Hilarious. Okay, my last one is not a funny one, but again, I just thought this was a really cute character moment. When they find the Marines and there's a little extra scene of Ronan closing one of their eyes and then leaving. I thought that was so sweet. I love that inclusion. I just think it was so Ronan, and he's just such a well-rounded character, and I love finding these little moments of sort of who he was before, and also just the humor, because I feel like a lot of the aspects of the character that are kind of remembered are like his gruff exterior and he's so cool and badass when he fights, but like there's so much more to him, and I just love him.
I also wrote that scene down. It was such a amazing detail and so important, I feel like. And that was great. Another scene that I thought was funny with Ronan was when he kept wandering off. It happened twice. But the one scene in the hallway, and I went back and looked at it and thought, wait, when is he disappearing? And they shot it really clever that he's kind of like in the shadows, and then we cut to John and then back, and then he's just gone, and John is like, where's Ronan? And then they go into the room, and then he leaves again, and it's like, where the fuck is Ronan? I thought that was hilarious that he just keeps wandering off, and John is really struggling. I was saying a leash, but a bell is probably because it gives him more freedom. Yeah. But who's controlling him? Like nobody. Like he's stronger than all of them. So
that's the thing. I feel like they all need one that's, you know, the one that has like the 4 collars attached to the 4 leads attached to the 1 lead, and like I don't know who's controlling the lead, but they all need to hold on to one of the rings because
they're all just connected to each other. They're controlling each other in a way, but also it's just a huge mess. But it might help in some. I mean, in this case, nothing bad happened. Well, later it would have helped because he couldn't have kidnapped Teyla if they had all been attached, literally.
Yeah.
But yes, the chaos. Oh my god. And one last Ronan thing that I want to mention is the return of his sword, which I thought was really cool. It was only in one scene, but it was there, and I'm really grateful for that.
Same. Yeah. It's just so nice to see him. Even I wish, obviously, he used it, but it's just nice to know that he has it on him at all times.
It's so cool. It's giving Xena a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Ronan is like spiritually Xena in my heart, and because he's got all the good qualities. He's got the heart, like with Rodney in this episode, and then with that Marine, and he got that like toughness about him. I love how every time he's attacked by the bug creature, the bug creature really had it out for Ronan in this episode. I don't know why it was always attacking him, but I love how
He's
every
the
time.
biggest.
True. He catches the eye.
Maybe
the
some of
most.
like Michael's hatred leaked in.
Yeah. But he's always like, he just pops back up and he's like, I'm good. So calm. Like nothing happened. I was just getting choked out by a giant bug earlier, but we're cool. We're good.
Yeah.
I also love that scene of Rodney giving him like battle advice. He's like, go for the stomach. Like it's weaker there. And he's like, thanks. Like, okay. Like, he's a little gruff about it, but he's like, I'll take it. And then later we see him actually, I think he stabs it or he does something where I think he hits the stomach. So I thought that was like a really fun little kind of setup there.
Aww.
And as well, I just feel
Nice.
like his relationship with Rodney, that episode was fun. But I really loved his dynamic with John. It just felt very like divorced or like bickering old married couple type vibes. Like they were very, with John constantly losing him, which was hilarious. And then John having to tell him, nope, stun on. And Ronan like eventually just being totally fed up with it. Another scene that I think is just really fucking funny is when John is trying to tell the Marines to like shut the fuck up over the walkie-talkie, or I think like a few seconds earlier the Marine starts talking to him and John flinches or like jumps and Ronan's like, oh my god, like tell him to shut the fuck up, like they're messing up our plan. Both of them are so funny. And we get that scene in the end as well when they come out of the tunnels and John sees the dart and he's like, you know what I'm thinking? And Ronan's like, blow it up. And John's like, no. I save you with it. And Ronan's like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. That works too. But I was just crying. Ronan's like, we're on the same plan. And John's like, no, we are not.
I think that is one of my favorite scenes. That was so funny. It just cracked me up. Again, very in character, very on point.
Yeah, speaking of explosions, the C4 moment was really funny to me when they blew up the room with all the research. It made me laugh so hard because I feel like everybody in that scene was very themselves. Like John was like, "Is everybody okay?" And everybody's like, "Yeah, we're good." Except Rodney, who of course has to complain and be like, "You singed my eyebrows off," which so good. So good.
There's also that one later when John's like setting up the C4 and he like turns on the corner and he's like, oh fuck, and it like blows up and he's like, oh, like he almost got like his eyebrows or like he almost got her. I don't know. That was just, oh my god. Why this episode's so fucking funny. Like it's actually like it's supposed to be horror and it is. And I love it, like the way it's executed and stuff, but there's so many just great little scenes that are fucking hilarious.
Absolutely, yeah. I was a bit surprised, and maybe I'm channeling too much teyla here, but I was a little bit surprised that they just blew up the whole hatchery, no questions asked. Like with all the pods or eggs or whatever it was. I mean, it makes sense because he was breeding like a creepy bug people army there, but still, it felt a little bit iffy to me to just like blow up something potentially alive that they didn't even know exactly what it was.
That's fair. But I do feel like Rodney's line where he's like, they're hatching, made me so repulsed and so scared that I was like, yes. It's like when you see a spider and you're like, well, I have to burn my house down now because I cannot continue to coexist with this thing. That's what it felt like to me. So I sympathize a little bit.
Okay.
That's fair. And I think kind of combining your earlier idea, Ash, of this being like a two-parter, I think it would have been so interesting if like teyla was actually turned into a bug.
Wow.
And
like
then
John.
yeah, and then they could have actually like spent the second part like reversing that, and maybe even like reversing the other people as well, and like saving some of the Tyranians.
I have a question about that. Were they turning the humans into bug people, or was it that they? Because I understood it that Michael used the bugs to like soak in as much human DNA, like feeding on them, and then
Ew.
allowing them, sorry, this is gonna get graphic, allowing them to lay eggs and then infusing the eggs with like
More?
some weird serum that would then create. So he killed the people for his purpose and then bred new people or like new beings
Yeah.
out of them, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it would have been, I think it still would have been interesting if we had the bug feeding on Teyla and maybe then having it interrupt before it before it killed her, and them having to kind of like having her like close to death. Also, it's giving so much vampire vibes. Like when we saw them with like the bite marks on the neck, I was like, that is like full on vampire. You're never gonna beat the space vampire allegations.
Yeah,
So
100%.
I think that would have been interesting to have her like still bitten and then, but not like not dead, and then them having to fear that she would turn into something that John became or that Elia became in that episode, like being like sort of like bug-y.
Yeah, that would have been really cool. I think yeah, that was my bad. I was confusing the bug people with his human wraith
Oh yeah.
hybrids that is gonna
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
later. Where those are
Yeah.
definitely people that he kind of like
Yes.
messed with their genetics and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
this one he's just killing the people.
Yeah.
Just straight up murder.
Just
You know what? After he got scolded, he was like, I'll use the people actually. He said,
Oh my
no more
God.
murder? Because Teyla doesn't want me murdering? Okay, girl.
recycle.
Yeah, he's like, I can meet you halfway.
That's the saying, reuse, recycle, whatever.
Oh, yeah. What is it? Reuse? Reduce. Recycle.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Michael's so considerate.
Yeah.
Considerate king.
Hmm.
My favorite wife guy. And wife being Teyla and John.
LOL.
Oh my god, I'm actually laughing tears. This is amazing. This is really random, but there was one shot of the team walking in the corridor, which was so satisfying to me. Just the way of the composition, I don't know. But Teyla was in the middle, and then John and Rodney at her sides, and Ronan was kind of looming in the back, just like towering over all of them because he's fucking ginormous. And just that shot was so perfect to me because I don't know, just the composition. I know it's probably for blocking reasons, like the way where they're standing so that we can see everyone. But it was a great team shot. I really loved it.
There were so many great team shots. Like, yeah, there was like the one in the tunnel, which was really nice. And I love the one of them like walking through the field.
Yes.
After they're underground. It's like almost like not sunset, but it's like still kind of daytime, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. It was really nice. There was some really interesting shots. I will say, when I compare it to sort of last episode, I think this is why I give like submersion more of like a higher number, or why I prefer submersion if we had to kind of like compare the two, because they are kind of similar. But I think the set for submersion was so good, and I do like the set in the episode. The fact that it's like practical and they were like genuinely like filming in fucking tunnels. But at times it is kind of like hard to see, especially like the night scenes once they were kind of outside, and when John picks them up in like the dark and all that stuff. Little bit hard to see sometimes. But there still were some really fun shots. And I actually think the fact that Atlantis put a shot of a mass grave is kind of fucking crazy when you think about like just this franchise and this show in general. I was shocked when they showed that. And I use that scene all the time in edits because I just think it's so insane. And it's just I think it just shows how different and how dark this show can be.
Yeah, it was definitely horrifying, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That was I did not remember it, and it was really really terrifying. Also, speaking of the dart, I was so sad that they didn't fly into, like, because I was fully expecting the dart to just come into the gate room, and then I said, oh, they can do it because he was afraid he would damage Atlantis. I was like, all right, fine, but it would have been so cool. I felt like this episode had kind of a little bit season 1 vibes, even in terms of like the creepiness, and like the darkness a little bit, but also with the wraith dart, and with the wraith beaming thingy into the dart, that we don't see that a lot anymore. And having that, and then having also the team utilizing that for their own benefit, I thought was really cool, and I was just really excited to see that. And then I was really sad that we didn't see them arrive like that in Atlantis, because can you imagine? They had no idea back in Atlantis what was going on. They thought they were having a happy time out there, and then suddenly like having like a wraith dart just like in the control room or in a gate room, insane.
Yeah.
That would have been great. Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
keeping it and using it, it'd be really
Yeah. Yeah.
They do mention
yeah.
that the Deadlist was going to
Yeah.
pick it up.
True.
So
Yeah.
maybe we'll see it next episode.
And
But yeah, I also want to give, again, not to glaze Michael even more. But you know what? Kudos to him. His plan was like kind of fucking solid. The way he like had those Marines phone in and like call Atlantis and be like, "Yeah, everything's okay, guys. Don't worry about us. Like, see you never. Like, don't send more backup. We're fine." And they bought it because I mean, yeah, why wouldn't you? And so
And then
Elizabeth
killing them.
totally, yeah, and then getting rid of the evidence, using them for his experiments, and then they would have been like trapped there without the dart. They would have literally been screwed because Elizabeth would not have sent anyone for like probably like a full day.
Yeah.
So that was really quite genius, and it proves that he knows them like very well, and he knows how they like work and all that because he used their own tactics and their own sort of plans against them. Okay, speaking of the backup though, John was so upset that Elizabeth like sent him help. It was so funny. It was giving like, "Mom, I don't need a babysitter." Like it was giving like he was so annoyed, and they were like, they died, and he's like, "Oh fuck." And I like that, in the beginning, he was almost like rolling his eyes, being like, "We don't need extra help." And then once they were missing, he's like, "No, we're not leaving them." He's like, "We're going to go find them." So I really appreciated just both sides of his character.
But he could worry because they were already dead. So but I do love having Elizabeth worry about them. So that was nice. She's like, "No, better save them a story," which is like, yes. Thank you. And didn't work, but she tried.
That never gets old. Just in terms of the Rodney of it all, I really enjoyed him in this episode. I always do, but I really was laughing very hard at the participation line. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but in Canada, I don't know if we still have it. But we used to have these PSA sort of things in commercials by this organization called Participation, and they would do like PSAs on like junk food and why eating healthy is important, or like go out and why you should go and take walks, or like why running is good for you and all that stuff. And then they would actually have events like you would be able to attend and like go and do some sort of activity to like, it was really more popular in the 90s, but like to help people like get outside and like be active and improve Canadians' health overall. So Rodney mentioning it, and then it was just hilarious. I was like, wow. I love that it's not pretend Canadian stuff. Yeah. It's like real facts Canadian.
Yeah. Definitely. I love that he said he got bronze because he couldn't like pass the rope climbing or whatever the hell for silver. Who do you think forced him to do that? His parents, or like was it did like Jeannie dare him? His classmates? Like
Was
who
he
forced
trying
him?
to impress a jock? I don't know. Maybe he has a history
Oh,
of this.
That seems most plausible.
Yeah, that's
because
very
I feel like he wouldn't get peer pressured into it. He wouldn't care about that. I feel like, is Jeannie... She's younger than him, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if that would fly.
Yeah, you're right.
But maybe, yeah. His crush was going, so...
Yeah, Rodney's an interesting one because I feel like he has been taking like a bit of a back. He's just kind of been in the background a little more, especially these past 2 episodes. He was definitely more present for like the Carson of it all, and maybe that's why they've kind of like had him in the background. But I also feel like it makes sense. I don't think he would be saying a lot in this situation, anyways. Especially because he has no, I feel like everyone's on very specific sides of this sort of Michael war.
Right.
We have Teyla, who's usually more in defense of Michael, although she doesn't like justify it, versus Ronan being like, we need to fucking kill this guy, right? And everyone's kind of like in between. So, and then Rodney is like dead in between. I don't think he cares if Michael lives or dies. He's very much just completely neutral. He's completely neutral on what they did to him. He's neutral on basically every aspect of this argument. So I think it makes sense for him not to be like a main character per se in both of these episodes because he just doesn't have a lot to say. But I always love anything that we get with him, just because again, David is just such a great actor. But he had me cracking up like multiple times in this episode. I think I wrote down my favorite delivery of his was when they were, I think, planting the C4 in like all the little pods, whatever. And Taylor's like, "Oh, this stuff is peculiar," and he's like, "I think the word you're looking for is disgusting." That had me cracking up. He's so real. And again, just like the little background bits are always so cute. There's a little scene of Rodney kind of like waiting. I think he was like trying to let Teyla like go in front of him, and Tayla's like, no, you go in front of me, like putting him in the middle, so she could protect him. And he's like, okay, and he kind of goes up. So just always enjoy him, whether he's the main character or whether he's just like kind of doing background bits. I still just love him, and I love just his presence in this show as well. Just really anchors the whole thing. And now that we've finished the episode, we can head to the Bechdal test.
This episode fails. There was a really close one, but I was like, no, that is 2. That is like, that falls below the line.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, they have a scene, but they're kind of talking about like Michael and
Yeah.
other stuff, so I guess
Doesn't count.
Michael and Rodney. Yeah.
Mhm.
And Rodney.
2 men in one conversation.
Damn.
Damn.
I know. Why didn't you ask her if she was okay? That's so mean.
Right?
I feel like that would have been an Elizabeth thing to do. Like talk about the men and then be like, "But are you okay?"
Yeah. Considering.
Yeah, considering she's almost bugified. All right, and then we will head back to me for the behind the scenes. So this episode was written by Carl Binder, which I previously said, and it was directed by Andy Mika, who I'm pretty sure has directed episodes before.
Oh, Mikita, sorry. Is it Mikita?
Oh yeah, mate, girl. I don't know how to pronounce that damn name.
So yeah, he did a lot of, like, he does a few episodes per season, more so in the end of SG1, and
Did he have to do
also
any other
later.
Atlantis?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did Before I Sleep.
Okay, yeah,
example.
okay, there you go. Because I was like, am I crazy? I'm like, I swear his name sounds so familiar to me. So I didn't do any research. Okay.
He did. He also did a few episodes in season 2, and some more in season 4 and 5.
Yay. Okay. Well,
He's been
nice to have
around.
him back. Yeah, nice to have him
Yes.
back. He did a great job with this episode for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and then some interesting notes. So, despite the introduction of the bug people as a new threat, they are never seen again.
I was afraid of that.
Bye.
Michael just gives up and he calls them a crude experiment in the future, and he moves on to creating his human wraith hybrids.
Well, reduce is recycle.
Yeah, I feel like that makes more sense though. I feel like the human hybrids make a lot more sense than bug people. It definitely
Yeah.
is a bit of a like his first attempt. Baby's first attempt at like murder. This episode makes a reference to the Alien movie, and a lot of this episode actually takes inspiration from Aliens, the sequel. Both involve bug-like aliens, hatching from eggs, as well as contact being lost with the colony, Marines being sent in to investigate, and characters incinerating the eggs to prevent more hatching.
Oh. Well, spoilers for Aliens then.
So sorry. Yeah, spoilers.
Atlantis does that a lot when they like do the little homage to
Homage,
a lot of horror films. It's just so good.
Yeah, and I feel like this one is like a very like maybe not subtle, but I don't know. I think it's done very well in this one. Like it's not like just overtly like stealing an idea. And I feel like that's something we've criticized before, especially when they've sort of like plagiarized like SG-1. But in this one, it feels like it's taking inspiration, but it's doing its kind of own thing, which is nice. Hey, and then I have this super long quote from Joe, but I'm gonna read the whole thing because I think it's just really fun. And you get some little tidbits. So here we go. He said, "Sometimes we actors will call the producers with notes about things we feel might be wrong about a script. So they are probably surprised to hear that in this case, I thought all the elements came together. I'm a pretty tough critic when it comes to my work and the series, and I like this episode a lot because it enters into the psychological arena. Becomes very much an X-Files-ish sort of thriller. And honestly, if like our characters, you're exploring space and running into weird and spooky creatures, then things are going to turn deeply psychological. This is the direction I've been trying to get Atlantis to go in for a while, but for one reason or another, it just hasn't been possible. Then this script came along. I'm a big fan of Carl Binder. He's a very strong writer, and the dialogue and vengeance is wonderful. It was a fun episode to work on, but the actual location wasn't so hot. We shot in the hollowed out tunnels underneath an abandoned mental institution, which was dark, dank, and had this stuff on the walls. After a week, most people's eyes were red, and I got sick. So, cool as the story looks, hopefully now audience will know that there were sacrifices involved in making it look that way."
Oh my god. They were breathing mold for a week.
They suffered for their art.
They were experiencing their own psychological horror.
Real!
They were going through the horrors down there.
That's crazy. You know, it reminds me of David Hewlett is always in a situation, I feel like. But when he was filming the horror movie Cube, it was literally just a box. It was a wooden box that they filmed in. And it had like these panels so that like the light, like the different colored light or whatever could go through, I think. And when they had to film scenes in the red rooms, there was no air conditioning.
Oh god.
So it was just like intense heat, and you're in this box and you're doing these scenes of like horror and like emotion, and everyone is sweating, and yeah, it was just
oh my
terrible
god.
sounding. So poor guy.
Damn.
What a trooper.
Yeah. I was also thinking of The Eye, where again David Hewlett and Tori were just like being pelted with like rain showers and got sick afterwards.
Yep.
No wonder.
That'll do it.
So they suffered. They put themselves through the ringer for this episode. But again,
Thank
I just
you.
love that the set was practical, and I feel like you could really see that in how like enclosed and like claustrophobic it felt at times.
Yeah.
I also think it's really interesting. This is something we've brought up before, but Joe has been very vocal about like what direction he wanted the show to take. And I think it's really interesting because while I agree sometimes with his takes, and I think this episode is like a prime example of like sort of hitting that home run of sort of balance and tone, I wonder how he feels about season 4 and 5 because I feel like they are considerably darker, and to me, they're weaker story wise. But I wonder because he's been saying for so long, as we've been going through the show, I feel like we keep getting these little snippets and stuff of Joe being like, no, I want to go darker. So I wonder if he ended up regretting his wish or if those last seasons are what he's like the most proud of.
I feel like there might have been some other behind the scenes stuff going on that might have changed. Maybe not his idea about. I'm speculating. Not his
Yeah.
idea of feelings towards the show, but towards like the working environment.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure.
And I think we're not there yet, but I think the character writing suffers a little bit in the later seasons, which kind of affects the vision.
Yeah. I also think it's so interesting that he said sometimes we, the actors, will call the producers with notes about how we feel might be wrong about a script.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I know
love
actors
that.
do that. I
Mhm.
know actors like do that. But I was like, whoa, they did that on Atlantis as well?
It's not the type of show you would think
Yeah.
that they would do that, but I think it speaks a lot to the actors' love of their role
Mhm.
and their character, and I think that's awesome. I think a balance is definitely needed, though. You don't want the character to be too much you.
Mhm.
But I think another really good example of somebody who did that a lot was Christopher Maloney in Law and Order, SVU. He would get scripts sometimes, and he would always call out things. He was like, Elliot would not say that. And really maintained his character over a stretch of like 12 seasons through many different writers. So, and I think he was right. Honestly, he was right for that. So go off, King.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think in Stargate they often tried, or in Atlantis they tried, but they don't often go through or they didn't often like were heard. I know of one instance where Tori got to change a line in, I think, Letters from Pegasus, where she kind of says goodbye to Simon in the end of her, and she's like, "Oh, I love you, honey," and she was like, she would not say that.
No.
And kind of
Yeah.
got them to kind of like break off the Simon thing. So yeah, I think they did that, but they weren't often heard.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I'm sure Teyla would have been maybe not a different character, but she would have had different reactions to certain things if they were actually probably listening to Rachel. So I'm sure that probably only worked for. I'm not, and I don't even think it worked for the men. I'll be honest, because eventually we know that things were going on behind the scenes, and they completely shut Joe out. So yeah, no idea what went down there, but interesting to know that at some point they were calling it in and saying we need to change this, or this my character wouldn't do this, which is interesting. And yeah, that's all that is for me on the behind the scenes.
Nice.
Go ahead, Tor.
All right. So for this one, they might seem a little bit out of pocket, but these are the two things that I really focused on when I was watching the episode. The horror vibe. So I love when Stargate and horror mix, especially Stargate Atlantis. And one author that was quite prolific in adding horror to Stargate is Martha. So the one fic that I'm going to recommend that is horror-y today is called The Shadow over Chatsworth. And it is a gen fic. It features Daniel and Rodney. They go to a small town. Unclear. I don't want to spoil anything. So unclear if this is on a planet or on Earth or whatever. And some freaky stuff happens there. It's quite good. Some cameos from some other Stargate people, perhaps. Again, I can't say much without spoiling. But if you dig Stargate and you dig the horror vibe, definitely take a look at this fic, as well as any of their other fic, because all of them have some aspect of horror in it, whether it be psychological or Lovecraftian, which this one definitely took inspiration from. And, this episode, I was just obsessed with Rodney and Ronan's dynamic. It was just my favorite thing. And so I have to recommend one of my favorite Rodney Ronan fics. I hope I didn't recommend it before. This is called 364 by Sardonic Smiley, and it is a fic about Rodney having to marry Ronan for IOA dodging purposes, and it is the sweetest, bestest thing ever, while still being true to their characters. So fun. So, yeah, please read it, because it's good.
Yay. Anytime
Amazing.
there's like arranged marriage or marriage of convenience, I'm fucking there. That is such an underrated trope. I love it.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
That's
So underrated. Yay. Well, thanks for the fics. And of course, they'll be linked in our little description box. You can check them out for yourself if you are so inclined. To jump into our review
Oh, yeah.
and last minute notes of this episode. Does anyone want to go first?
Yeah.
I think I can go.
Oh, you go. You go.
Tor-
You go.
No.
You
Tor-
go.
Tor-
You
Tor-
go.
Oh my
Oh
So
no,
funny.
okay. I'm a little bit biased because I like the horror aspect of this episode, and I just feel like I said in the beginning or at the top of the episode, it's just the perfect distillation of everything I love about Stargate. The core four is just firing on all cylinders. They are very much themselves. The dialogue is so punchy and good. We get interesting moral quandaries and dilemmas. I love the morally grayness aspect of Stargate Atlantis. I love the horror vibes of this episode, and the on-set location was so cool. It was like a video game set. So I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10. Why? I don't know. I feel like something was missing. Maybe there just wasn't enough Elizabeth for my liking in this episode, to be fair, but it was just rock solid episode that really brought us back to what we really loved about the show in season 1.
Kind of tricky with this episode. I feel like while we were discussing it, I upped the rating a little bit, but it's still, I think. So I agree to everything that you just said. I really think it's just a really solid, like really Stargate episode, a really classic Stargate with like the alien planet, the weird creatures, the great team dynamic, and all of that. Also bringing the creepiness back, bringing the wraith back, but with a twist, kind of. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna give it an 8 because I really enjoy the episode. I think it's a really strong episode. But it's, for me, it's like not like over the top or anything. So I think it's a really like it's a good, really good episode. And I enjoy it. But I don't think it's one that I would maybe rewatch like just on its own, even though it's good. But for me, I think what is missing is like the emotional, like the really strong emotional investment into it. But I really like it.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of gonna just piggy off of what you guys said, because I 100% agree. It's a really solid episode. really like secretly funny as well. Like deep
Yes.
down, if you ignore like all the mass murder and like the creepy bugs, it's like kind of hilarious. But yeah, there's something missing. Something's not. It's not being pushed over the edge. I think, and especially again, not to compare it, but I'm just gonna compare it because we just did Submersion, and I think Submersion is a better horror episode, and an episode that does Teyla and Elizabeth a lot better. But I do really enjoy this episode, and I think it is a strong outing, and it does bring a lot of what made the show really good in the beginning back to the forefront, and that's something I will definitely give it props for. And more Michael. Sorry, I love him. I know he's evil. He's like, now we've entered like, okay, he's problematic, or like he's a villain type guy, and it's like, you know what, sue me. I'm a villain fucker. I love him. I will go down with his murders. What murders? What murders? He didn't do anything wrong. I can defend him for like I think 2 more episodes, and then it'll get really bad, and I can't. So just hang in there. I'll switch eventually. But for now, what murder? And for that reason, I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Nice.
And on that lovely note, be sure to check out everything we have linked in the description box. You could check out the fics that Tor recommended for this episode, and you can also find our link tree, and you can also our link tree. I don't even remember if that's linked on there. What you can find though is our social media accounts. You can follow our Jumping Puddles accounts to vote on polls and to see when we post episodes. And you can also find our private social medias to see what fandoms we are currently in at the moment. And next time we will be discussing the season 3 finale. Oh my god. Like what, 3.5 years? 4 years? I don't know what year we are on.
4?
We're
We're
in our 4th year.
Okay. I
Okay.
think so.
4 years into this project or podcast, whatever the fuck you want to call it, we are finally going to finish season 3.
What? That's
I'm scared.
crazy.
We
I know,
are
scary
almost done
times.
with the show. That is terrifying. Anyways, you can join us for that, and thanks for hanging out with us today.
Bye.
All right, you clowns, listen up. I don't often get a chance to say this, so savor it. Good work, boys and girls. Let's go home.